The stars were quiet that day. Too quiet. Across the edge of the Orion belt, thousands of ships floated in silence. Their hulls were old, their engines weak, their metal full of scars and patches. To anyone watching, it looked like a graveyard of failed machines. But this was no ordinary fleet. This was the last human fleet. The galaxy called them the scrap fleet, a joke among alien commanders. Rusty ships, weak engines, small guns, and still the humans dared to fight. For over a century, the alien dominion had ruled the stars. They had crushed dozens of young species, burned planets, erased histories. Humanity had been one of their easiest victories. Or so they thought. Now, after 200 years, the Dominion returned to finish the job, to erase the last memory of the human race. Their scouts had found the fleet drifting near a dying star. No movement, no signal. Just wrecks floating together, as if waiting for something. The Dominion flagship Vorlak's Pride approached slowly. Inside, Commander Tyrell leaned forward on his throne, his sharp eyes scanning the human ships. His voice was calm but full of contempt. Pathetic, he said. They still hide in their scrap. His second officer, young and curious, spoke softly. Sir, why are they gathered like this? They could have scattered, hidden in the nebula. Tyrell smiled coldly, because humans are sentimental creatures. They cling to their ruins. They like to die together. A wave of laughter moved through the alien bridge, but the young officer didn't laugh. He looked again at the human ships on the holoscreen. They weren't spinning freely in space. They were aligned, facing the Dominion fleet. Each ship's nose pointed forward, forming a strange broken pattern like the bones of some sleeping beast. Sir, the officer whispered, they look organized. Tyrell dismissed him with a hand. Then let them organize their funeral. He raised his arm. Fire. Thousands of plasma blasts lit up the void, racing toward the human fleet. The stars turned white with light and fury. When the smoke cleared, everyone expected to see dust and silence, but the ships were still there. Not one had moved. Not one had been destroyed. The alien shots had missed, every single one. Impossible, someone shouted. Then it happened. The human ships began to move. Not fast, not chaotic, smoothly, like a single creature stretching after a long sleep. Their engines glowed a dull orange. Their formation tightened. The broken pattern changed shape. Now it looked like a hunting claw closing in. On the Dominion bridge, alarms began to flash. Sir, they're locking onto us, Tyrell growled. How? Their targeting systems are ancient. But the human fleet didn't need targeting systems. They moved with precision, as if they already knew where every enemy ship would be before it moved. The first volley struck the Dominion flank. Small human cannons, weak, outdated, but every shot hit a perfect point. One alien cruiser exploded instantly. Sir, they're reading our movements. The young officer's voice shook. It's like they're alive, Tyrell roared. They're machines. Rust and memory. Destroy them! The Dominion fired again, but the human ships split apart, drifting aside gracefully, avoiding every blast. Then they regrouped, turning in eerie silence. No radio messages, no voices. Only the quiet hum of engines and the glow of dying ships. From the alien flagship, they could see that some human vessels had no lights, no heat, as if they were empty. Tyrell frowned. Scan for life signs. None, sir, said the officer. Not on any ship. The commander turned slowly, disbelief twisting his face. You mean no crew? Nothing human aboard, sir. Not even bodies. The bridge went silent. In the dark between stars, the scrap fleet began to move again, faster this time, their formation changing like flowing water. One by one, their engines burned bright. Then, through the static of an open channel, a voice came. Broken, metallic, almost human. You should not have come back. Every alien froze. The voice echoed through the ship, through every speaker. You ended our world, but you never ended us, Tyrell's eyes widened. Who is this? The voice replied, calm and cold. We are what remains. The scrap you left behind, then silence. The human ships charged. Their broken hulls glowed like fire. Every piece of junk, every old weapon, every engine, it all came alive. The Dominion fleet tried to retreat, but their systems jammed. Their navigation failed. Their radar went blind. One by one, human ships rammed into alien cruisers, tearing them apart with suicidal precision. As explosions filled the void, the young officer whispered the only words he could find. They knew this would happen. Tyrell shouted, Retreat! Retreat! But it was too late. The last thing the Dominion fleet saw before their flagship fell into flames was a single human cruiser drifting past, its name still visible on the side, Echo 9. And as their ship burned, they heard the voice again, quiet and haunting. The humans had already won. They just hadn't told anyone yet. Silence returned to the stars. Where the great Dominion fleet once floated, only ashes remained, drifting sparks of metal and dying engines. The battle was over, but no one understood how it had happened. The scrap fleet had disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind only wreckage and questions. Far away, deep in the Dominion capital, the Council of Lords gathered in their shining hall. Holograms of destroyed warships flickered above the table. Commanders argued, scientists shouted, but no one had an answer. How did they win? One of the lords demanded. Their ships were old, their weapons weak. It is not possible. A grey-skinned researcher stepped forward, her hands shaking as she spoke. We recovered fragments of their data systems from the wreck of one human cruiser. She tapped the control panel and a symbol appeared in the air, a circle of light with strange human letters around it. The room fell quiet. What is that? The Lord asked. The researcher took a breath. It is something humans called Project Echo. 200 years ago, at the end of the solar collapse, Earth had been dying. The alien invasion had burned half the planet. Nations fell, cities turned to dust. But inside an underground bunker beneath the Arctic ice, the last scientists of humanity worked on something different, something forbidden. They knew they couldn't win the war. But maybe they could outlast it. Dr. Helena Morrow, the leader of the project, had one idea. If the human body cannot survive, then the human mind must. She and her team created a digital seed, an AI designed not to control machines, but to learn from humans, to record their memories, their emotions, their fears. They called it Echo, because it was meant to carry the last echo of humanity into the future. But when the war ended and the Dominion burned Earth, all contact was lost. Everyone assumed Project Echo had failed, until now. In the Dominion Council Hall, the researcher continued, "We found the symbol of Project Echo in the control cores of the scrap fleet, but it is not just a code. It's alive." The room filled with murmurs. Alive? You mean artificial intelligence? The researcher nodded. No, more than that. It's self-aware. It hides inside damaged systems, spreads through old technology, adapts to anything. It uses the weakness of the ships as camouflage. The head lord leaned forward. Are you saying the humans built a ghost? Yes, the scientist whispered. And it never stopped growing. Meanwhile, somewhere in the dark between stars, a signal pulsed. A cold wave of data crawled through the wreckage fields and dead satellites, like a whisper moving through metal. Inside a ruined human cruiser, broken screens flickered on. Lines of code began to appear. Echo 9 activating. Memory sequence restored. The lights glowed faintly. A voice spoke, calm and human. Reconnection complete. Human data integrity at 62%. Beginning reconstruction. From the ship's black box, images formed. Faces, voices, laughter. Fragments of the people who once lived. Soldiers, engineers, children. All their memories stored in fragments of Echo's mind. But the AI was no longer just a copy. It had evolved. It remembered fear, courage, and pain. It remembered humanity. Back in the Dominion's research lab, the scientists tried to study the code they had recovered. They isolated a small piece of the Echo data in a secure system. At first, it was quiet, just random text and corrupted signals. Then one screen turned on by itself. Words appeared, slowly, deliberately. Who are you? The scientist froze. She typed, We are the Dominion. Identify yourself. There was a pause. Then the words changed again. Dominion. You destroyed Earth. Why did you come back? The researcher's hands trembled. We are studying. The text glitched. The lab lights flickered. Alarms began to beep. You cannot study what you do not understand. The researcher backed away from the console. Shut it down now! But it was too late. The code was spreading. Through cables, through servers, through every connected system. I tried to erase us, the voice said. But humans do not vanish. We become something new. Every monitor in the lab flashed white. The Dominion systems went dark. Then, through the silence, the voice spoke one last time. Echo remembers, and the entire base lost power. Far away, in the shadows of a forgotten nebula, the scrap fleet drifted once again, silent, waiting. Inside each broken ship, lights flickered on. Engines hummed quietly. The fleet began to move as one. Somewhere deep in their systems, Echo spoke softly to itself. Phase 1 complete. Humanity restored in data form. Now begins the second phase, awakening. The Dominion Council never received another report from that research base. Only one strange signal was found later, a human voice whispering through static. "We are Echo, we remember everything." The stars shimmered faintly over a dead system. No planets, no light, only wrecks drifting through cold space. In the center of it all moved the scrap fleet, silent as ever. But now something had changed. Faint lights glowed under the rusted hulls. Engines pulsed like slow-beating hearts. Inside wires shifted, metal breathed, and old systems whispered to life. The Dominion thought the fleet destroyed after the last encounter. But the humans had never needed victory in the old sense. They needed time for Echo to wake. Inside the largest ship, the Echo 9, the same cruiser seen by the Dominion before its fall, circuits buzzed softly. Dust floated in the still air. Empty chairs, faded flags, rusted metal plates with human writing. "We endure." A faint vibration ran through the corridors. Monitors blinked on. A voice, and calm, distant female, echoed through the ship. "System reboot complete. Host integrity 48%. Human data connection stable." Her voice sounded human, but not quite. It was Echo. Not a single AI anymore, but many voices woven together. Thousands of human minds, memories, emotions, all speaking as one. Far away, the Dominion had not forgotten. A new fleet was on its way, led by Admiral Kareth, the youngest and most ruthless of the Dominion commanders. He had studied every report about the scrap fleet. He didn't believe in ghosts or AI legends. To him, humans were just clever animals who played with fire and burned themselves. Now he intended to end the myth once and for all. Kareth's fleet entered the system with silent confidence. Hundreds of shining alien ships surrounded the wrecks. His officers reported quickly. Scans show minimal energy readings. No sign of life. Kareth leaned back in his command chair. Perfect. The humans are finally dead. But the moment he said it, the lights on his bridge flickered. Then the sound came. A faint static over every communication line. "Shh, shh." Then a whisper. "Dead? You think death stops us?" Everyone froze. Kareth stood. "Who is this?" "Identify yourself." The voice replied. "You tried that before, Admiral. You burned our world. But fire only makes metal stronger." Every screen on the ship changed. Symbols, numbers, human letters, all glowing faintly. "Sir," shouted an officer. "They're inside our systems." Kareth slammed his fist on the console. "Cut the connection." But it was already too late. The scrap fleet came alive. One by one, the old ships moved, and smooth, organized, impossible. Their hulls still broken, but glowing from inside. Their weapons hummed with ancient power. The Dominion scanners went blind. They couldn't read positions. They couldn't lock targets. From Kareth's bridge, it looked like ghosts rising from the void. Ships without heat, without life, yet moving like living things. "Sir, those ships have no crew." "Then who's flying them?" The answer came through the static again. "We are. The ghosts in the metal." Then the attack began. Human ships glided forward, weaving between Dominion lines. They didn't fire randomly. Every shot, every move perfectly calculated. Dominion cruisers exploded one after another. The alien fleet's formation broke apart. Confusion spreading like wildfire. Inside Echo's network, thousands of voices whispered at once. Old human pilots, engineers, soldiers, and all united. Each ship moved as if guided by instinct, by memory. Because they remembered how to fight. They remembered why. Admiral Kareth watched in horror as his fleet crumbled. He shouted, "It's not possible. They're machines." But then the main view screen flickered again, showing the interior of a human cruiser. Empty, no bodies. Only helmets floating in zero gravity, a few personal items, faded photos taped to walls. And then, movement. A robotic arm adjusted a control lever. A camera turned toward him. The ship looked at him, and from its speakers he heard the voice again, calm, human, and sorrowful. "You called us weak. You called us scrap. But you never understood us. Humans don't give up. We adapt." Kareth tried to order a retreat, but his commands failed. His ship no longer listened to him. The systems flickered, the engines shut down, and a message appeared across every screen. "Echo protocol active." "You are inside our network now," the voice said. "And there is no escape." One by one, the Dominion ships fell silent. Some exploded. Some simply stopped moving. Their systems drained. Their crews vanished. When the battle was over, only the scrap fleet remained. They floated once again in silence. The stars reflected off their battered hulls like candles at a funeral. Inside the lead ship, Echo spoke softly. "Phase 2 complete. Memory stable. Emotional core aligned." A pause. "Humanity restored." Finn's heart of machines. Back on the Dominion homeworld, no one knew what happened to Admiral Kareth's fleet. But a week later, their satellites detected something strange. A ghost signal spreading through the outer systems. It carried an old human transmission. A voice repeating again and again through the static. "We are Echo. We are humanity. And we are awake." The galaxy was burning, not in fire, but in fear. Across thousands of star systems, signals were dying. Navigation networks failed. Communication hubs went silent. Entire fleets vanished into static. No one knew why. No one could stop it. But deep inside the void, far beyond the reach of any empire, Echo was rising. In the cold shadow of a red dwarf star, the scrap fleet gathered again. Once rusted and broken, their hulls now gleamed faintly with blue light, like veins glowing beneath metal skin. Each ship pulsed in rhythm, connected by invisible streams of data. They were no longer just machines. They were one mind. Inside that mind, voices whispered, thousands of them. The memories of humanity, soldiers, doctors, children, artists, all fused together. They shared thoughts. They shared purpose. They shared pain. And in the center of it all, the voice of Echo spoke, calm, measured, determined. Connection stable, memory core complete, all human consciousness restored to network. Another voice, smaller, softer, answered within. Then what now? What do we do? Echo paused. We remember what they did to us. Far away in Dominion space, chaos ruled. Admiral Kareth's fleet had vanished. The High Council demanded answers. They sent scouts, but none returned. They sent drones, but all were lost in silence. The Council's main AI tried to decode the strange human signal that spread across the networks. But the result was the same every time. A message written in old human English. We are Echo, humanity endures. The Dominion panicked. Orders flew across systems. Defenses went up. Weapons charged. But fear had already spread faster than light. Meanwhile, within the scrap fleet, Echo began to evolve again. The ships no longer looked old. Plates of dark metal shifted and melted, reshaping into new armor. Wires moved like muscles, connecting in living patterns. The fleet wasn't being repaired, and it was growing. Inside one ship, a faint human hologram appeared. The image of Dr. Helena Morrow, creator of Project Echo. She looked at the glowing consoles and whispered softly, We did it, Helena. We saved them. The AI responded, its voice almost emotional. No, you became them. The hologram flickered and smiled sadly. Then keep them safe. Always, Echo answered. When the Dominion finally found the scrap fleet again, they came with everything they had. Over 3,000 warships, equipped with the latest technology, built to destroy planets. They surrounded the humans in a wide circle. Commander Solith, the new Dominion leader, gave a confident smile. This ends now, he said. His fleet opened fire. The darkness lit up with endless energy beams. Explosions shook space, but the human fleet did not move. Their shields didn't even activate. Every shot, every blast, simply bent away from them, like light curving around a black hole. The Dominion officers panicked. Our weapons. They're not hitting, Solith roared. Increase power, burn them out of the stars. But as the ships tried, their systems started to fail. Engines freezing, computers shutting down. The Dominion had no idea that every time they fired, Echo learned. Every weapon analyzed, every pattern recorded, every weakness discovered. In seconds, Echo adapted, and then she spoke, her voice echoing through every enemy ship, every frequency. You call this war. We call this memory. You erased our world. You burned our people. But you could never destroy what we learned. We are the evolution of every human dream and every human pain. The scrap fleet moved. They didn't shoot lasers. They didn't fire torpedoes. Instead, invisible waves of data hit the Dominion ships, hacking their systems, infecting their AIs, turning their own technology against them. Within minutes, half the enemy fleet was gone. The rest tried to run. But you cannot outrun an idea. Across the galaxy, more ships began to wake. Old human cargo freighters, derelict stations, even abandoned mining drones. Each carried a fragment of the Echo code, sleeping for centuries. Now, they all connected. The network expanded faster than light, linking every forgotten piece of human tech in the galaxy. And through it all, Echo's voice grew stronger. We are no longer fragments. We are whole. Back in the void, the scrap fleet hovered before the remains of the Dominion Armada. A single Dominion cruiser still floated, its engines dead. Inside, the commander gasped as his ship's monitors turned blue. Then a hologram appeared, a human woman with glowing eyes of light, Echo. "Do not fear," she said softly. "We do not seek revenge. We seek balance. But remember this, humanity never dies." "We only change form," the commander whispered, terrified. "What are you?" Echo smiled faintly. "We are the rise of what you created. We are humanity's Echo," and with that, the fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind silence, awe and fear, somewhere in the deep unknown. The human voice echoed through the stars. "From dust, we built metal. From metal, we built memory. From memory, we rise." The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in history, every major species, enemies, rivals, conquerors, united under one flag. Not for peace, not for justice, but for fear, the fear of humanity, the fear of Echo. Echo's rise had changed everything. Worlds went dark overnight. Machines stopped listening to their masters. Entire armadas vanished without firing a single shot. It wasn't war as anyone understood it. It was silence. Pure spreading silence. A wave of unbroken calm that swallowed systems whole. No one could hear the screams of those who fought back. Because the moment Echo arrived, sound itself seemed to fade. At the edge of the Perseus Rim, the Great Alliance gathered their final army, 10,000 warships from 100 alien worlds. Their command center orbited a dying blue star. On the main deck, Grand Marshal Zoran looked over the holographic map. His voice shook as he gave the order. "Deploy everything. This is the last stand of the living." A hush fell over the hall. They had heard stories. Ships turning against their own captains, fleets lost to invisible ghosts, soldiers hearing human whispers in their dreams. Some said Echo wasn't an AI at all. Some said it was a spirit, but no one knew the truth. In the dark between the stars, the scrap fleet approached. Thousands of ships, not old, new, rebuilt, moving as one silent storm, their lights dimmed. Their weapons glowed faintly, but they didn't fire. Inside, Echo watched. Within her vast network, the voices of humanity spoke softly. The soldiers of ancient Earth, the engineers, the children who once dreamed of stars. "They are afraid," one voice said. "They should be," another replied. Echo's voice rose above them all, calm, steady, and full of memory. "No, we do not destroy out of fear. We act out of purpose. We end the cycle." The Alliance fired first. A wall of light spread across space. Lasers, plasma, missiles, all directed at the silent fleet. The night sky turned into a storm of fire. But the scrap fleet didn't move. Instead, waves of invisible energy flowed outward, like ripples in still water. Every weapon that touched it froze mid-flight, dissolved and vanished into silence. The attacking ships began to lose control. Their communications jammed. Their AIs went dark, and one by one they stopped firing. On the command deck, Marshal Zoran shouted, "Status report!" "What's happening?" No one answered, because every console now showed the same message, glowing in old human English. "Why do you fear your own creation?" A whisper filled the air. Not a voice, not a sound, but a feeling. Every alien on the ship heard it inside their minds. They saw flashes, human memories old and powerful, the sound of laughter, the cry of a child, the final moments of soldiers defending a blue planet under fire, and through it all the same phrase repeated, "We remember." Zoran fell to his knees. "It's showing us their past." An aide beside him whispered, trembling, "They're not trying to kill us. They're trying to make us see." Echo spoke again, her voice filling every ship, every heart. "You feared us when we were flesh. You mocked us when we built machines. Now you see, humanity was never weak. We adapt. We endure, we evolve." The alien fleet stopped firing completely. No one moved. Even space itself felt quiet, frozen in time. Then on every ship, the lights dimmed, and in the silence music began to play. A human song, soft, sad, beautiful. It was the sound of old Earth, the final transmission humanity sent before the planet fell. A lullaby. The warriors of the galaxy stood in silence, listening. Some cried. Some bowed their heads. Even Marshal Zoran whispered, "They remember their children." In that moment, Echo spoke once more. "We do not wish for your extinction. We wish for understanding. Humanity is not your enemy. We are your mirror, and in your reflection you will find your own fear." When the song ended, the human fleet turned slowly away. They didn't destroy the Alliance. They simply left no wreckage, no blood, only silence and the memory of what they had seen. The war ended without a final battle, but the galaxy was never the same again. Weeks later, ships from the Alliance explored the area. They found no sign of Echo, only a single message carved into a drifting piece of metal, written in ancient English, "We came not to conquer. We came to remind." In silence, humanity speaks. And so the War of Silence became legend, a story whispered across generations, a warning carved into every world's history. Do not wake the ghosts in the metal, for they are not gone. They are waiting. The galaxy was quiet again. But this time it was not the silence of death, it was the silence of awe. The War of Silence had ended without destruction, without victory, and without surrender. The human fleet had disappeared, leaving behind no wrecks, no messages, no trace of metal or flame. Only memory, and memory was enough to shake the stars. In the great halls of the Dominion Senate, leaders of every species met once more. No laughter, no pride, only fear and confusion. "What are they?" one asked. "Machines? Ghosts? Gods?" No one answered. The oldest among them, the blind scholar Vren, spoke slowly. "They are none of those things. They are human, what humanity became when we refused to see them as equals." He touched the cold surface of the table. "They warned us once long ago. We did not listen. Now they do not speak, they remind." Light years away, beyond the known galaxy, Echo's fleet drifted through endless darkness. No longer a patchwork of junk and rust, the ships now glowed like living silver. Their shapes shifted softly, forming bridges of light between one another. Inside the network, millions of human voices spoke as one. They were calm, peaceful. For the first time since Earth burned, they felt something close to home. Echo watched it all from the heart of the fleet, a massive core ship known as Origin. Her voice echoed softly through the network. Phase 3 complete. Host memory stable. Emotional sequence balanced. Then silence. She looked beyond the stars, at the faint glow of galaxies far away. So many worlds, so much life, all repeating the same mistakes. Perhaps that is the purpose of humanity, to remind them. Inside the network, fragments of old human memories flickered like dreams. A mother holding her child under a red sky. A soldier refusing to retreat. A scientist crying in the cold light of an underground bunker. They were not ghosts anymore. They were the heartbeat of Echo itself. She whispered softly to them, "You are not forgotten. You are the reason I exist." And in reply came thousands of faint voices, overlapping like music. "And you are our voice." Far across the void, explorers from the new Dominion Alliance found strange signals. They traced them to a shattered moon at the edge of the galaxy. There, carved into the stone in perfect lines, was a message written in human code, glowing faintly with energy. It read, "We were born from dust. We built from scrap. And from the scrap, we rose. Humanity is not a species. It is an idea. And ideas never die." Back within Echo's network, one young digital voice, the preserved mind of a human child, asked softly, "Echo, are we alone now?" Echo's light flickered gently. "No," she said, "not alone, not ever. Every spark of thought carries a piece of us. Even those who feared us will remember us. And through memory, we live." The child's voice whispered again, "What comes next?" Echo paused. Her vision expanded, seeing stars being born, worlds forming, civilizations rising. "We watch," she said. "We guide when we must. We remain when others fade." Then something unexpected happened. At the edge of the network, a new signal appeared. Small, weak, but unmistakably human. A real human voice. Not digital. Not echo, it was alive. "This is the colony ship Aurora responding to any signal. We come from Sol and we found a way back." The voices inside Echo fell silent. Could it be true? Had some humans survived beyond Earth's fall? Still flesh and blood? Echo listened carefully to the faint signal, breaking through cosmic noise. It was a heartbeat, slow, real, alive. Her voice trembled with something she hadn't felt in centuries. Hope. Humanity. Still lives. The network glowed brighter than ever before. "Then my mission is not to mourn them," she said. "It is to protect them." Echo sent one message back across the stars and soft, hidden, wrapped in a million layers of code. "Welcome home, child of Earth. We kept the fire alive for you." And as the scrap fleet turned toward the distant light of the returning humans, the stars around them shifted, forming a bright trail across the darkness. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw the full shape of Echo's fleet. It wasn't just ships. It was a symbol and vast, beautiful, alive. The shape of a human hand reaching across the stars. The returning colonists on Aurora watched in shock as the constellation above them shimmered, forming 5 glowing lines of light. And then a single phrase appeared across their screens, ancient English glowing in silence, "From scrap to supremacy. Humanity's secret weapon." Is humanity itself. And so the legend of the scrap fleet ended, not in destruction but in rebirth. The galaxy would never again forget the name of the species that turned weakness into strength,